No. Fiona, never tip your king so quick, eh?
Why not? When you're going to be beaten anyway.
Focus on what you have.
Coach, I think you don't come from here.
When I was a child, my mother left me. In that moment, I wanted to die. But it is a good thing I did not take my life, eh? Otherwise, I would not have seen my daughter. I would not have met the pioneers. Or you.
Me?
Do not be quick to tip your king, Fiona. You must never surrender.
And that's a clip from The Queen of Katwe. It stars David Oyelowo. David, welcome to the programme. Nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
I had a day last week when I saw 2 David Oyelowo films in the space of hours.
Lucky for you.
No, it was great. I mean, and terrific. And we'll talk about the Amma Asante movie just a bit later on. But Queen of Katwe is your movie, which is out this week. Just tell us who the Queen is and tell us where Katwe is.
Yes, well, where Katwe is Uganda, and Katwe is a slum in Uganda where the Queen comes from, Fiona Matei, who, when we first meet her, is a 10-year-old girl selling corn on the streets of Katwe, and is discovered to have a prodigious chess-playing talent by the character I play, Robert Katende, who teaches chess and who guides her towards becoming a champion.
There you go. That sounds like an answer you might have given before.
It's as succinct as I've ever done it.
It is.
So you catch me in a good moment.
No, that's very good. Tell us about her, though, because I understand it's her first picture. She is remarkable. And obviously, all these kind of pictures, they do revolve around finding someone who is enormously engaging and passionate. And we find her sort of at the big, what an interesting stage she is, because she's just sort of, she doesn't really realise how smart and intelligent she is, does she?
Yeah, well, and that really reflects the discovery of Medina, who plays Fiona in the film. Fiona Matei, the character Medina portrays, as I say, is discovered to have this talent and goes on to find expression for that. But Medina, who plays her, hasn't acted for the screen before, was discovered in a dance troupe in Katwe, Uganda, and does things in this film that I just don't think you should be able to do.
Like what?
Well, there is a stillness that she has that in my experience, comes with confidence and experience. There is a listening ability she has, whereby she doesn't feel a need to project her listening. There's a subtlety she has in the performance she gives that is very, very mature. And I guess she is living proof that, some people just have it. That's what I felt while we were shooting it, and it's definitely how I feel now that I see the film.
I don't think I've seen a film, certainly not a film which starts with Disney coming up at the beginning, which is based entirely in Africa,
right,
where you're exactly as you say. There's not a scene where let's go to America now and explain it to the Great West. It just is it's an African story from start to finish, and I can't remember the last time I saw that.
It's probably because it doesn't exist, because not only do we not switch over to America, but we also don't have an outsider as a character who is supposed to bring a perspective that a Western audience is their way into the film, so to speak. We rely entirely on an insider perspective. We rely entirely on the people who are indigenous to this community, and we have the confidence to trust that their perspective is one that can be related to by people who are not necessarily from Uganda. I think that's a wonderful shift and something that is really paying huge dividends with audiences.
And the fact that it starts with Disney coming up right at the very beginning gives you because you're telling a street story, because you're telling a story about a street family living in a shanty town or a slum, and there are dangerous people around there, obviously. But it gives you it really adds to the enjoyment because you relax because you go, okay, it's
Right.
going to be tough. This is a real story, but it's not going to be too tough. I mean, not even like Slumdog, which obviously had some pretty tough scenes in it.
Well, I think it's twofold because, yes, that logo coming up sort of relaxes you and you think, okay, I'm not about to see anything too edgy. But the other side of it is that actually there is some stuff smuggled in there. We don't shy away from the poverty. We don't shy away from the challenge. We don't shy away from the issue of teenage pregnancy. These are not the normal things you would find in a Disney movie. And that's because, again, the perspective from which this is told. Someone who is from that community. The bulk of the people in the film are people who live in that community. So telling some kind of sugar-coated version of it just would not go down well with them. Ugandans are very direct. They will let you know exactly how they feel. And so, I think, yes, it relaxes you, but it's also an opportunity to smuggle things in that are a bit more challenging.
When you say they're very direct and tell you what they feel, did they do that while you were filming? Did they say, you can't do it like that, or you should be doing it differently?
I'm of Nigerian descent, and so that's my way into anything that is, generally speaking, African. And you cannot approach Africa generally. The Ugandan accent is very different from the Nigerian accent, and if I was remotely off, I would know it straight away, and that's a good thing, because you want to get that right.
I was just thinking, I was going to mention the United Kingdom in a second, but in that movie, you're from Bechuana land, so
Yes.
modern day Botswana.
That's right.
What is linguistically? Did these movies come together? Was it more difficult having done Botswana to get those accents right? Is there a subtle difference? What as an actor, what did you have to try and master?
Oh yeah, it's a good question, because we shot Queen of Katwe first, and then with not much of a break, I went into a United Kingdom, and the accents are very different, especially as with Seretse Khama, who I play in a United Kingdom. It was a hybrid of a Botswana accent, and he had lived in the UK for quite a while, and he also had a little bit of that affected, this is the BBC kind of accent that is sort of woven in there. So the nightmare for me is, having shot Queen of Katwe, we then did a United Kingdom, and then I had to do some looping for Queen of Katwe. So to be doing some sound recording for Queen of Katwe while doing a United Kingdom was just a mind bender, because the accents are very different. But if you're not really concentrating, you can sort of start blending them, which would not be a good thing.
And I just want to mention Lupita Nyongo, because her performance as the girl's mother is quite fantastic, and maybe not the sort of motherly role that you'd expect in a story like this. It was almost like, wow, she deserves a movie of her own.
Right.
For
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is the richness of the film, is that even though the protagonist is this girl, you really see how it takes a community, and it's not necessarily a smooth path that goes in a direct trajectory. I mean, for Lupita's character, Harriet, all she knows is selling corn. All she knows is poverty. And that is likely to be the story for her daughter and her daughter's daughter, and on and on and on. And without Robert, who himself had been an orphan, himself had not had the equivalent of himself for himself, but wanted to be that for Fiona, he has a very different set of ambitions for Harriet's daughter, and that is a point of confrontation between the two. But what's amazing in terms of those two characters' interaction is that even though for both of them they have Fiona's best interests at heart, they have to compromise and really be led by her talent, her desires, and her own ability to help her towards her best self.
And how good is Fiona Matei as a chess player? Obviously she's great, and obviously she's a prodigy, but how brilliant is she?
Oh, she's incredible. I mean, she's gone on to progress beyond what we see in the film of winning the Rabisheni tournament. I mean, she is now playing internationally recognized, which is why her story is worthy of a film, and she's continuing to play at a very, very high level. She wants to go on to become a lawyer, but she wants to keep her chess going, and I think the sky is indeed the limit for her.
Yeah, there's a great scene where you're playing chess with her, you being her coach, and she's learning, and you are baffled. I think you say you can see 8 moves ahead.
Yeah.
And I remember, I haven't played chess for years. It did make me think, right, I need to get the chessboard out, but I can remember not
Right.
being able to think more than 2 moves
Yeah, that's
ahead.
me. That's me. I'm barely one move ahead, in all honesty. But yeah, it's funny. I was with Magnus Carlsen the other day, the best chess player in the world, and he can see 20 or more
goodness.
moves ahead, which is insane, really. But actually, he was one of the people who said, having seen the film, all the chess is correct, and that's something he was very glad to see.
That must be a huge relief, because even though you're telling, as you say, you're using chess as a metaphor and it's a bigger story than that, if he'd said,
yeah.
that scene, I don't think the rook should have, that didn't work.
Yeah, we probably would have just silenced him and not had him on the press tour. But thankfully, it wasn't that. And he also came off as someone who would let you know. You could tell it had annoyed him in the past with other chess movies where the chess is very wrong.
Amma Asante is on the show in a couple of weeks' time, a few weeks' time. We spoke to her when Belle came out, and we supported that. We talked about it a lot on the programme. Amma's helped us out in judging our Well Done You short film competition. So we're kind of familiar with what she does. We're looking forward to talking to her again. But my understanding with United Kingdom is that you took the project to her. Is that right?
Yes, I did. That was a 6-year journey for me. I first encountered the book in 2010 when producers I was working with at the time told me they had the rights to it. I remember them showing me the cover of the book and it having Seretse Khama and Ruth on it. And from that point on, I just became obsessed with the idea of making this into a movie. And Amma and I had worked together, I think, 18 years ago now on a show called Brothers and Sisters. She was purely a writer on that one, but I'd seen her treatment of Belle, as you say, which I really enjoyed. And I thought the thing she got so right with that was the juxtaposition between the love story and the politics. And that's something we really needed to get right, that balance right with this film. So, combined with the fact that, like me, she's of African descent, but born in the UK, United Kingdom takes place both in Africa and the UK. She was just a perfect candidate for it.
And part of your campaign, your ongoing campaign to get more of these kind of movies, period dramas explaining the Black British experience out there and up on the big screen.
Just showing how much a part of British history people of colour are and shouldn't therefore be marginalised out of being represented within it.
David, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.